Hi, I'm James Shillinglaw, and I'm here today with Cheryl Martin, who's the general manager for Kimpton Key West. Now, this is a brand new property, and I shouldn't say property because it's multiple properties, all in Kimpton, that are Kimpton properties in Key West. And it really is just opening as we speak. And I think they still have a couple more of these small boutiques to open. But we wanted to talk with Cheryl this time. Hopefully at some point we'll get down to take you there to have you take a look at it. And we're going to find out all about what Kimpton Key West is on Insider Travel Report. First of all, Cheryl, how are you and where are you?
So I am in Key West, so I think the answer is obvious. I'm in paradise.
You are in paradise, and we all wish we were there. And it's a new paradise for you too, because this is a fairly new property. You've been opening up these properties since, I believe, March, and we'll talk a little bit about how it's structured. But when did Kimpton kind of conceive of this kind of Key West resort that would include actually 5 separate hotels or inns? I guess that's what they are, right? Yeah,
so basically back in 2016 when we opened the Seafire Resort in Grand Cayman, it was Kimpton's first international, outside the U.S., island resort property. Mm-hmm. And it was so successful that Mike DeFrino, our CEO of Kimpton, along with a lot of others who look out for acquisitions and to buy, fell in love with Key West for many reasons. Mm-hmm. It just really fits our brand because it's embraced in a small community. It is local minded. Key West, the motto here is one human family. And Kimpton's motto is, humans, right? Take care of humans, be kind. Mm-hmm. And it's just a charming history, being able to bike everywhere and live like a local. So Kimpton wanted Key West. And when this opportunity came about with, at the time, 6 hotels, used to be called Historic Key West Inns, and purchased them in August of 18, and to rebrand them into 5 seemed like a monumental task. Mm-hmm. And it's been interesting, but it's been really fun at the same time having 5 in the collection. So it's a good fit for the brand.
No, that's great said. But so you have 5 in the brand, and they're all different names, and I assume they're close, but maybe not, you'll have to tell me how close they are in terms of location. You have Winslow's Bungalows, the Lighthouse Hotel, the Fitch Lodge, Ridley House, and Ella's Cottages. Can you sort of talk about each one of those in turn, because they're all a bit different, right?
Absolutely. So Winslow's Bungalows is 85 rooms. And it sits with 3 pools, bungalow bar, and it's just got the most tropical pathways, Havana brick, so that the landscaping alone is just so spectacular. So it lends to a more resort feel with a lot of nooks and crannies and some green space to kind of have your own little hideaway and getaway. We added a lot of, in Key West, you can't change the shape and size of the building for obvious reasons. But we can add outdoor garden space. So we expanded to have outside living space. A lot of people don't come down here to stay inside a hotel room. They want to venture out and be in the sun.
I don't know why they want to do that. I mean, I just, want to sit in the room and not even go out. I don't know what that's all about. But no, you're absolutely right.
I'm going to get you down here and change your mind, even though the inside of the rooms are beautiful. Yeah. But we really put a lot of thought into adding a lot of outdoor space. So where the rooms, maybe some of them are smaller, some of them are larger, we can increase your enjoyment and your experience by adding outdoor space. And, it appeals to families, couples, individuals, retreats, because it sits in 17 buildings.
Wow. So now you have 1 hotel and then it's 17 buildings. Now, what about the Lighthouse, that property? This is
so the Lighthouse is 45 rooms. And it sits directly across the street from Ernest Hemingway's home, which is a major...
Actually, you know what? I've actually been there. I was on a cruise, and I went over. It was fascinating. I really thought, with all the cats, right?
With the 6-toed cats, yeah.
6-toed cats. No, that was fascinating. I didn't realize that at the time. This was a few years ago, so I didn't realize that there was that hotel right across the street.
Yeah, so we're right across from that, and then obviously next door to the Lighthouse. And that property is super special. It's... that's a little more romantic, but family oriented. We added a bar there, so we have Isabel's bar and a pool there, smaller but great outdoor space. And of course, we have the Hemingway suite, which is absolutely fantastic. A lot of weddings over at Lighthouse, so we get a lot of brides and grooms over there too. So it's a little bit for everybody there.
And in fact, as we're speaking, I believe just a week or so ago, you opened the third property, reopened, I should say, Fitch Lodge. So tell us a little bit about that one.
Well, actually, Fitch, we're opening next Wednesday.
I'm off then. So, all right. Well, by the time this comes out, it will be open. So you're
exactly. We're well on our way. So that one sits on Eaton Street. It's really close to where the Key West Ferry comes in from Fort Myers, next to the historic seaport, a lot of water activity. So that property kind of lends to maybe a little more budget-minded traveler and kind of the adventurer, the one that wants to get out and get over to the water and go look to see what's out in Key West.
And then you have two more to go, Ridley House and Ella's Cottages. Tell us a little bit about those two.
Yeah, so Ella's Cottages is 22 rooms, and I'm not supposed to have a favorite because they're all my favorites, but Ella's is really special. Great outdoor space. It's a perfect place for a family to maybe buy out for a reunion. We've had a lot of buyouts there with smaller groups and weddings.
Well, especially nowadays where everybody wants to be, have their own place, if you will, just with their own family. And hopefully it's a small family. But I'm going through this now with wedding plans for my son and trying to figure out how many people we can invite to certain venues, so people want to do that and buy out a property, right?
Yeah, exactly. And, it's boutique, all of Kimpton's are, but it's got more of a luxury feel, and it sits right in the middle of a neighborhood next to the Galleries and Art District, walkable to Duval. It's a great little quiet, hidden location. But
so that's Ella's, right? And then Ridley is?
So Ridley House is 23 rooms, and we boast as probably the best location in historic downtown. So it's right next to Duval Street, the Seaport, Mallory Square, which is famous for going down for the sunsets and all the activity. And it's just like a block off Duval. And it's made like just king rooms. So that more lends to couples and romantic retreats.
No, that's great. So the largest one obviously is the Winslow's bungalows. And you sort of have answered my question that they all kind of cater to slightly different markets. There's some for more couples, there's some for families, there's some for groups. And they all kind of, I was going to ask you how they fit into the Key West locale, but they kind of all do, right?
Yeah, they really do so you asked me initially, like, how does it fit on the island, right? I like to say it's 52 buildings on a 10-block area.
Oh, so it is really all close. They're all within 10 blocks. Huh?
So the previous owner as properties would come available, she would buy like a resident home next door and turn that into rooms, and then the room next door. So a lot of them are old houses converted. Some were previous inns that are just a little larger, and then, we've kind of added on to that. So it's, they're really special. They're really small. They're really quaint. And of course, now with the Kimpton brand on them, they're fresh and they're beautiful.
Well, that's my next question of what in your mind unifies all five of these properties under Kimpton, the brand? What makes them part of Kimpton now?
Yeah, so what makes them part is the designer, which was Power Strip, who did our Seafire Resort. Very thoughtful palette. So there's color palettes that are unique to each hotel. So like Winslow's is like a mint green, Merlin is blue, Fitch is yellow. So you're going to have the same design on the inside, basically the same headboards, armoires, furniture, fixtures, but there's a slight color palette that's different. So you're going to go into each hotel and it's going to seem familiar, but a little bit different. Right. Out of 219 rooms, I have 200 different room types. So that's, interesting, right? To get the design to fit. So what possessed you to want to manage a hotel like that? I mean, I'm sure you've got a lot of experience as a GM around the world, but it's like maybe it is the diversity that you get, that you have kind of 5 different hotels and or you will have 5 different hotels, and maybe that appeals to you. I don't know. Well, you know what? That is a great question. When I came down here in September of 2018, I scuba dive, I fish, I kayak. So I fell in love with the island first. And then I thought, why not? And there's many times, especially during COVID, I'm like, what did I get myself into? It's crazy. It's fun, but it's such a different. So I'm not a cookie cutter with Kimpton by any means, right?
Right.
But back to the original question with what makes it Kimpton. So when you go to a Kimpton hotel, you expect the public bikes, right? That we do biking. So we have the bike program, which biking down here is huge. We encourage people not to drive because parking is very expensive and very hard to find. You know, we're all kid friendly. We're all pet friendly, which is really important down here.
That's one of the things about Kimpton that I've always liked, and that you are pet friendly. It is very hard. I mean, less than 50% or less of hotels actually allow you to have a pet, and there's a lot of people who have pets, and they don't necessarily want to leave them at home.
Exactly. You know, and we don't do deposits or cleaning fees, and we don't discriminate. So, you know, the pet program, the bike, you know, and just, you know, the amenities. So most Kimptons have wine hour because Bill Kimpton started that 40 years ago, right? That's the iconic part of how we socialize with our guests each night. But down here, it didn't make sense to do wine hour from 5 to 6 because everybody from 5 to 6, happy hour is the big thing down here in Key West,
sure.
And sunsets. So we decided to change it up and do a boozy arrival. Everyone gets on the island, they want to start drinking, so we like, welcome to Winslow Spenslow's. You know, here's a White Claw, here's the beer, so we kind of start them off drinking. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of fun that we still have that connection from alcohol, I guess.
Yeah, well, you know, I thought you were going to suggest that we would have like 11 o'clock boozy brunch or something, but that's that might be good too. But no, that's wonderful. I mean, and Kimptons are these boutique brands that are all kind of localized and individualized. I've actually stayed in a number of Kimptons over the years, and I always like that situation. In fact, I sheltered in for a little while just after the crisis began at the Kimpton up in Vero Beach, and that's a lovely property. And luckily at that time there were very few, not for the hotel, but for us, it was really a wonderful isolation. There's very few guests, unfortunately, for them. But what I did want to ask you about, you know, you have, obviously it's challenging enough to kind of manage, you know, 5 distinct properties with all these different room types. And of course, now we have the coronavirus crisis. What's it been like, and how have you worked through this crisis to this point? I know before we started the interview, said that, you know, all of a sudden, you know, bookings are starting to come in. So you're seeing some finally some people getting back to business. But what's it been like, and what have you done?
Yeah, so what it's been like is first, Monroe County and the city of Key West. I think they've been, all of us have been very concerned with the health system we have down here. We have one hospital that has 7 ICU beds. So if we get an outbreak or something serious happens, you have to go to Miami, right? So, you know, our mayor, Terry Johnston, and Monroe County was daily changing what we need to do, what we should do. So I think, you know, kind of the challenge for me is trying to understand what we should do as a city, what we should do as a property, what our cleaning standards are based on AHLA and IHG and the Kimpton brand, and pulling that all together. The biggest thing is like, how do we open 5 properties? When you have one property with one front desk and an elevator, right? You can shut off certain floors, maybe you can save some, you know, energy cost, labor that way, but how do we layer the properties back in? But first and foremost is getting the employees back from furlough, making sure they want to come back and they feel safe. Mm-hmm. So taking care of the employee, right? And then making sure the employee and those guests believe in what we're doing, believe in our safe cleaning practices, which has changed completely the labor model down here. Not the way that I would normally do it. We had to change. We had to add positions, extra housemen. So the challenges has been, how do we layer in and open hotels effectively to run the occupancies at the point that, you know, we're not losing money in all hotels just to have them open. Right. So, you know, I'm still waiting on that crystal ball to come from Amazon, but, you know, we decided, you know, open the biggest one first because guests have the most option with 3 pools. But it's, you know, and then it's where do we get the supplies from? What is the right mask to use? What is the right sanitizer? Where do we get the pumps and the electrostatic sprayers? So in the beginning, it's just the unknown of how to get the supplies that I've never had to order. Right. And also, we clean hotels anyway. We always give you a clean room, but now we almost have to brag about it and tell you. And that was bothersome in the beginning. Like, oh, now we're going to clean the rooms. We always did. But, just with a little more visibility, so guests feel comfortable. So,
the health and safety is the new luxury. I mean, it's just everyone wants to make sure that room is clean or cruise ship or whatever. And in fact, I just did an interview with one of the companies that actually helps hotel companies do that, and create these protocols. And it's very interesting to see. I mean, and I was talking to Matthew Upchurch, who's the CEO of Virtuoso, and he said, right now, what is luxury? Luxury is clean and safe, and everybody wants that. And for our viewers out there, you have to know what the policies are and what's everyone's going to ask you, and you kind of have to be expert in almost everything you sell. That it's okay, that you don't worry, they have a great program and you're not going to have any problems, right? I mean, it's amazing what we've had to do in such a short time.
Yeah, and then daily inspecting what you expect, right? I think I've got a good team in place, but making sure that we're communicating correctly to the guest every day, and creating different ways to communicate contactless. We use a system called Kimpton, I'm sure you're familiar with. So that text messaging system just blew up on steroids because it's so easy to talk to the guests through a text and they don't have to come up. And how can we be more Kimpton, more whimsical, and get the message across if they didn't listen when they checked in, which they're so excited about their White Claw and we're going to go to the beach. So just continuing to find ways to stay in contact with our guests, ensure health and safety, and still make it fun because they finally got here, and it doesn't need to be a clinical environment. It's still in hospitality, and we want them to just enjoy Key West. So they tell their friends and come back.
Absolutely. Now, let me just so right now we have Winslow's Bungalows is open, Lighthouse Hotel is open. Fitch Lodge, by the time this comes out, should be open, because it's next week or so. And then you have the remaining Ridley House and Ellis Cottages. When will those be expected to be open?
So the plan right now is to open them mid-November and have them open before the Thanksgiving holiday.
Okay.
So that's the plan now. I mean, if things keep moving along in the positive direction, which they are now, I feel confident we can do that. And as occupancy and demand increases, we may open them sooner. So, I mean, they're renovated, they're ready to go. We just kind of have to unhibernate them. So it's just a matter of give us 3 days and we can have it up and running and open, so we can open it to the public. I would love by 2020 to have the entire collection open, but
by the end of 2020, yeah, no, that'd be great. And it sounds like you're well on the way. Now, what when guests are down there, obviously, aside from drinking in Key West, which we know people do, it's amazing. I had no idea people drank in Key West, but what are the kind of, and you mentioned some of the stuff because you are aficionado. You like to do all these diving and things like that. So what are the activities that your guests will engage in?
Yeah, so Key West is not known for their beaches, and I think that's maybe what a lot of people don't realize. And what I mean by that is we're a coral rock. Mm-hmm. So we don't have natural sand beaches like you're going to find in Grand Cayman or you're going to find in Miami Beach. What our ocean is, and there's no surfing, we don't have waves necessarily. What we're famous for is our reef. Our reef is the second best in the United States. No passport required to come dive and snorkel. So it's boating. People go parasailing, snorkeling, sunset cruises, sunset sailing, cruising tiki bars. I mean, the water and boating sports is probably number one. Mm-hmm. Diving is incredible. Every chance I get, I go diving. Fishing, deep sea fishing. I mean, the marlin, the wahoo. All of the fishing is just, whether it's from a boat, we've got the mangroves. So, kayaking through the mangroves, paddleboarding, a lot of water sports. Now, we still have beaches. You can go relax and enjoy yourself. And people love our beaches, but it's just not that typical beach you may expect in the Bahamas. And it's like, the culinary scene. We have so many local restaurants here, and I think we only have 3 chain restaurants, and Key West tries hard to keep them out and support the mom and pop. So, the food scene, Obviously, the bar scene, because you have an open container, you can walk on the streets with your drink, like a mini New Orleans down here. And it's just sunset is probably the really big thing down here. We have amazing sunsets, and all of the restaurants and bars compete for the best view and, the best special. Fresh seafood. I mean, you want oysters, you want, yellow snapper, which is our local fish. Food is absolutely amazing. Not to mention the museums, Ernest Hemingway, the Little Truman House, Maritime Fisher Museum, the aquarium. There's a lot to do for families as well, because there's a lot of literacy down here. So it's there's a lot to do. The Butterfly Museum. So on
I actually have been to that one on a cruise.
Yeah.
I've been on my little, and this is why I've unfortunately only done it off a cruise ship. To really get in with the Key West ethos, if you will. I did do the Hemingway Museum, and I did do the Butterfly Museum, and I did have a drink or two, at a local establishment. But then I had to get back on the cruise ship. Which, very nice cruise ship, but you begin to say, maybe I should stay here for a little while longer, right? So that's the key there. Now, so now here you are, you started doing this March, and by next March, hopefully everything will be open. And then hopefully the virus will be on the ebb, I guess. And where do you see these series of Kimpton properties at that point?
So March of next year?
Yes, 2021.
Right.
Seems so far away, right?
Oh my God. No, time is flying by these days. 2021, I hope to be the coolest kids on the block. And I mean that because there's been a lot of buzz about Kimpton Key West and taking over the historical Key West Inns, which was owned by a single owner since 1998, and the fear of change and the fear of, what are they going to do? And I think, we've now earned their trust, and they've had a glimpse of who we are and how we treat our employees and how we treat our guests and how we get the loyalty to come back to Key West. So I want to be the coolest kids on the block. I want to be the best place to work. Down here, the labor market, it's a little tougher than when I worked in Scottsdale, Arizona or San Diego. So when you find a good employee, you need to make sure you continue to train them and you retain them, right? Absolutely. So hopefully, best place to work. I can sit here and have these amazing interviews with you and talk about what Kimpton does. But at the end of the day, they're the ones on the front line. Right. They're the ones that know Key West, that love it. I don't need concierge here. They're so full of knowledge, and they love to look. So, it's really to just be recognized, have our brand launched, because we originally opened and launched the brand on March 12th. Huh. What happened?
She said, I don't know,
yeah.
some kind of small crisis, but who knows what that was. But
right. So all of the PR and the launch, like Kimpton's in Key West, we didn't get, obviously COVID was the headline. So we're going to build it up over this year. So I'm hoping by next year, people know we're here. We've got a loyal following. The community embraces us and is not fearful anymore. And just have a great hotel to run.
Well, you get a do-over starting this coming March. Maybe you'll say, oh, last March? No, this is March. Now we're ready to
exactly.
go. Sort of be on them and ready to go and really celebrate this. But hopefully we can give you a little boost here with our Travel Advisor viewers. Anything else you'd like to tell all those travel advisors out there about your Kimpton hotels down in Key West? Well,
I think they're all just super special, and if anyone is curious what our guests are saying, go on TripAdvisor and read the reviews. It warms my heart every morning. Kimpton is known for their genuine, heartfelt connections with our guests. I feel like when you make decisions with your heart, you're never wrong. We don't want to be transactional, although we are a business. But the thing about our properties down here is they tie into the community and the local neighborhood so seamlessly. So you can live like a local. You can, when you walk out the hotel, you can walk by these beautiful houses and take pictures. And I think we're embraced in a community that we fit perfectly. They're absolutely gorgeous. They're fresh. They're new. They're old. They're eclectic. So they have a lot of history. But I encourage everyone to come down and check it out, because videos and pictures on a website only tell a small portion of the story. And when you come down here and see them, you'll fall in love.
Well, Cheryl, thank you very much for spending some time with us to talk about. I have heard about these hotels for a while myself. It's so great that you're finally opening these up, and hopefully by the end of this year they'll all be open, and then we can have a big party a year from when you should have had that party. That'd be great. And one of these days I do have to get down there and see this amazing place, Key West, not from a cruise ship, but just walking around and seeing the whole place. And it sounds like I need you as a guide, because it sounds like you said all your staff can tell everybody about all Key West, but I suspect you can tell us a few things too. So again, thanks.
I'm up for the job. I take it on. I'll take you around.
There we go. Thank you so much, Cheryl. And I am James Schillinglaw, and this is Insider Travel Report.